Hey, we want to welcome to the show Barry Schwartz. Barry, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're very good. We're kind of geeked over here, actually, having you on the show. Barry, just to let our audience know who doesn't know Barry, which I don't know any of our audience that wouldn't know, but hey, I'm just going to go through some of your bio lines here. You're a news editor for Search Engine Land. You're the owner of Rusty Brick, a web design firm in New York, and you're also the founder of Search Engine Roundtable. That's a good number of key pieces of kind of industry influencing. What else is going on in the realm of Barry Schwartz?
Yeah, I don't make my money in the search world, so there's plenty of room outside the search world for me myself personally. But in terms of the search world, there's obviously a lot going on. There's always a lot going on. Everything's changing constantly.
Yep.
The fundamentals always remain the same, but the little tips and little tidbits and all of the Google mobile stuff and AMP stuff, and all those things are constantly changing, so it keeps things interesting. Absolutely.
You're also hosting a Search Marketing Expo in Israel, and you're also a speaker at many different search conferences, including Search Engine Strategies, La Red Innova, Madrid, Spain, and PubCon. What else are you doing? That's a laundry list of a heck of a lot of participation in a number of conferences.
Well, yeah, I've been in the search world for a long time, so some of those I just spoke at once, twice, whatever.
Okay.
But my main focus is, in terms of search conferences, is XMX, Search Marketing Expo. The next one's coming up in Seattle, XMX Advanced. And I personally handle the Israel show every year. I haven't booked this Israel show yet. Usually it happens somewhere in the end of October, early November, but I haven't set the date for that yet.
Very good. Well, you're constantly. How long have you actually been at the helm of these conferences or participating in the orchestration of those?
Well, with XMX, I've been involved since day one. So I guess almost 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
My first PubCon I spoke at was probably after maybe like 15 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know. I've been involved in the SESs early on. No longer really involved in the SESs. I don't know if they still have the SESs. They may or may not. But pretty much I'm focused mostly on the XMX shows.
Yep, absolutely. You've also provided an advisory role for Google, Yahoo, Search, Microsoft Bing, and several other internet companies and many startups. And boy, that's a unique role that you've got there. And we've heard you in the spaces almost like a liaison between Google and the SEOs in the industry. And what's that like? That's that particular role? It's a unique position that you sometimes have there.
So the role of being in between the SEOs and Google?
Yeah. For the most part. I know you're not a spokesperson for Google. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, just the ability to be the you debunk, you demystify some of the things that come out of Google, and you also you have their ear, so to speak.
I don't know. It's interesting. So some people in the SEO world, the SEO community, think I'm a Google lover. Anything Google does, I credit them and I think they're the best. And then Google themselves, some people at Google think, I hate Google and everything Google does is wrong.
So you just can't win.
I can't win, no. But no, I mean it's interesting. Obviously, my writing started as basically a notebook just to keep track of what the community is talking about and what Google's talking about, and just keep an archive of that. It turned into something that people wanted to read, I guess. And pretty much I just cover anything that's new or interesting happening in the SEO community, as well as that Google's talking about. And since Google's been more and more vocal these days, the more and more they say, the more questions people have, I guess, about it. So if they give us one tidbit, it's like, all right, if you told us this, then what about this, this, and this? So the more they give us, the more information we want to know, and the more they have to tell us, and so forth. And sometimes that's good for us, sometimes that's bad for us, sometimes that turns into some type of controversy, which makes it fun. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, being the, I guess, go-between. Since I don't provide SEO services, I have no conflict of interest in terms of covering it. And Google doesn't pay me either, so it's good.
Well, I liken it to Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars, they would usually have maybe every 10 years have a Star Wars out, and all the geeks out there could really chew on that for a while. Now they're rolling out Star Wars each and every year.
Yeah, Rogue One.
There's Rogue One, yeah, the trailer just came out. Forgive me, Barry.
I'm just glad that they do one plot and just keep doing more movies.
Just repeat it. Watch, rinse, and repeat. Okay.
I knew that was coming.
All right, we completely went off rail there, but you got my analogy, right? So Google's talking more and more, and that means that it's even more confusing to the different levels of understanding that that different different professionals have in the SEO industry. Are you finding Google is much more transparent than they've been before in the past?
Yeah, of course. You can't compare. I mean, back in the day, we had somebody called, Google guy who was obviously Matt Cutts.
Yeah, right.
And we didn't even know who he was back then. There was one person maybe telling us some things, not everything. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more trans. You can't compare to back those days to these days. And, Google tells us more or less these days, but it's way more than they ever told us, at least historically. So they're definitely being much more transparent.
And they're also kind of insisting upon themselves. I mean, they're also in the spaces where they're now making there's no nebulous cloud of commentary. They are saying, example the mobile get-in scenario, they're saying, all right, months before, get your stuff together, get your responsive design, your mobile focus on your website. They were never nearly as clear as they have been over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, right?
Right, but they're very interested in making sure people switch over to mobile-friendly websites. So they had an interest in going ahead and telling people get ready or else, and it worked. A lot of people switched over, made their sites mobile-friendly, and now they're doing a push of phase 2 of that. Yeah. They said Boost is coming to that in May, and so in less than a month, hopefully, they're going to go ahead and rank that up a bit. And they sent out another notification: hey, this is coming. Get your sites ready again if you haven't done so yet. Yep. So they have an interest in making the mobile web much more mobile-friendly, and by doing that, since over 50% of their searches are mobile, most people are searching on mobile devices these days globally, including the U.S., they want to make sure that their searchers get a good user experience by landing on a mobile-friendly website. Absolutely. So they clearly have an interest in, setting a fire there.
Let's talk about SMX for a little bit here, because you are certainly a key player in SMX. We loved our experience when we went out there this year. What role did you play in organizing the entire event?
So it depends on the event. XMX Israel, I pretty much run everything from the venue to the sponsors to the registration to the speakers and stuff like that. Pretty much every little detail. XMX, the other XMXs, at least the ones in the States, I pretty much manage more of the advanced or the core SEO focused sessions, which mean I'm in charge of finding the speakers, making sure they know what they're talking about, and hopefully making sure they do a good job. So that's my core focus with XMX.
You kind of vet out some of their presentations beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, I got to make sure they know what they're talking about, making sure they otherwise they present something and it's completely wrong. That looks bad on XMX, looks bad on me.
Absolutely.
So. Hey Barry, it is Doug. I got a question for you. In this industry, so much is changing and so rapidly. I'm curious with that. So if you're kind of the quality, assurance, from these, what percentage of SEO guys do you see that just aren't maturing, compared to those that are with all of the algorithm changes and focus nowadays?
The answer is 34.6%.
Nice.
It's almost like a softball question.
That's fantastic. So Barry keeps track of his. That's fantastic.
It's hard to know. I mean, it seems like overall, like at least the ones that are following what I'm writing about and so forth are getting it on some level. I would say there's still a nice percentage of SEOs that simply are just doing old-fashioned buying links and so forth.
Still?
Yeah, I mean,
oh my Lord.
The really bad stuff like link exchange, like emails and link exchanges, right. Buying PRX links even though PR is dead in the toolbar. Yeah. It's hard to say what percentage. I think it's probably less of an impact, less of an issue today than it was maybe 5 years ago. But it's still, I think, a major issue in terms of SEOs out there that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's annoyingly prevalent. I mean, we're all getting in our inboxes all that garbage, and it's. I mean, we're at least adequately immersed in the tech to be able to understand what that really is. It's a fishing expedition, but there's so many companies that fall prey to that, you know?
Exactly, and you get my clients get these emails too, and I don't do SEO, and they're like, oh no, we're not ranking for all our keywords. You got to sign up for this $30 a month plan to get us ranking number one.
Gmail account or Hotmail account.
Yeah, I mean, it's upsetting to see these things. Honestly, it's nice to see the spam filter catch a lot of these things, but it's sad. But it's more upsetting for me because again, I spend so much time of my day or whatever trying to educate the webmaster community, and to see these things out there still, it's upsetting.
It is, and you're doing a heck of a job to try to combat that with what you're doing in the different blog spaces. So, I mean, it's commended. Maybe earlier in earlier years, it had a very heightened sense in a focus of SEO. There was a lot of more portfolio or a gallery of tactics, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was back in the day. It was much easier to do certain tactics and get away with getting the site to rank very well, very quickly. And then, it's just much harder now to it's still doable, but spamming the search results is much harder than it used to be. Back in the day, back in early 2000s, you could pretty much get anything to rank above anything else. Even during tax season, you were able to rank number one for H&R Block or any of these companies above the brand itself. And now that's pretty much not doable unless you do some serious hacking.
Well, we're going to tail off and break the segment up and go into another conversation with you. We're going to be continuing our talk with Barry Schwartz of Search Engine Roundtable and Search Engine Land and Rusty Brick. We're going to ask him some perspectives inside of search engine optimization in the future as well. So this is all coming up right after this. All right, hey, welcome back to The Edge. We're continuing our talk with Barry Schwartz of Search Engine Roundtable, Search Engine Land, and Rusty Brick. We're going to ask him some of his perspectives inside of search engine optimization in the future as well. So hold on. This is getting as close to Google as I think you can possibly get. You could get on the campus, right? But they throw you out. So we're gonna trust in Barry's perspective. Thanks for sticking around with us, Barry.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Hey, I wanted to dig in and understand a little bit of your history. Where did you get your first start in search engine optimization?
Good question. I guess I joined the forum back in the old days called SEO Chat and Webmaster World and a bunch of the old forums back in the old days. Just to discuss the stuff going on. It was a very interesting topic. I found search engines and ranking to be incredibly interesting, and it never ended. My interest in search engines and ranking has always been interesting, so I enjoy the topic a lot.
Could I ask you, at some point in time, I think we all have this little perspective, did you ever think about going to work for Google?
Did I ever think about it? I can't. There's been some discussions. It was never possible. I have my own company. I have 25 people who work for me. It's not something that I wanted to do.
Understood. Let me ask you a little bit about your perspective of the SEO industry. Give me some. What do you think about how it is right now? We talked about it a little bit in the previous segment about the maturation and that there's still some garbage out there. What do you think of in this space when you're interacting with SEOs, by and large?
In large, I think at least the ones that I'm interacting with do get it. I think most of them do get it. There's obviously, if you go into the general forums with a new webmaster who's building a website, they have no clue how indexing and ranking works. But SEOs who are in the profession that are reading the places that I'm reading, that are reading the stuff that I'm writing, typically do get it. It's hard to give you a percentage.
Yeah,
like I said before, I don't know what that was, 36%, whatever the number I gave you.
That was 34.5.
34.5, you could roll back the tape, but
so
it's hard to give you exact percentage.
It kind of fills you with hope a bit, maybe.
Right.
Barry, do you think the tools out there are also advancing? I think, sometimes I look at some of these SEO tools and the tools are 10 years behind the algorithm changes and everything. Do you think that might be one of the things that's either hurting, bad SEOs or assisting, advanced SEOs?
I mean, the tools that I'm looking at are constantly investing in better and better features. Moz is constantly investing and building better stuff. They're obviously behind the search engine, but they're constantly investing to build better tools. Majestic is constantly investing in their tools. SimilarWeb, Systrix, Searchmetrics. The tools we have today versus what we had back, 5-10 years ago are way, way better. So I probably disagree with what you just said.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I like hearing that because we Aaron uses some tools and I use some tools,
Yep.
and sometimes you don't get exposure to everybody out there and how they're progressing. So that's great.
Yeah, please, Doug, don't expose yourself. I'm just asking you.
Too late. I'm not wearing.
It's done.
I'm not wearing pants. This is
There
podcasting,
it is.
baby.
Okay, well, hey, Barry, so many times the SEO world complains about Google, okay, and they bitch and moan, and ultimately they either fall in line or they don't. Since you have a bit of a concierge or kind of a liaison role with Google, can you tell me some of the complaints that Google has about professionals in our industry?
Some of the complaints that Google has about SEOs.
Yeah.
Good question. I think the bigger overall complaint is that a lot of SEOs get too into the details. They try to figure out, the exact algorithm, how many links, how much keyword density, where they should place certain things, every little detail, and they're not looking at the bigger picture of, again, Google, you ask Google, how do I rank well? They're like, make the best site for the user. And that's really what they want to do. They really want people to make the best site for the user, and they want the algorithm to figure out what the best site for the user is. They don't want it to be like, all right, you need 25% keyword density and this and that. So I think the biggest issue that Google has about SEOs is that they really need to step back and look at the higher level about, all right, so is my website really better than anybody else's website that wants to rank for the same keyword phrase?
Right.
And I said this before, like if you're building a website and it doesn't rank, you want Google to be embarrassed that your website's not ranking for the keyword it should rank for. And if it doesn't rank, Google is going to take notice eventually, and they're going to fix their algorithm so that your site, which is the best site in the web for that keyword, does rank.
I'd like to have you leave us with a couple thoughts about where you see SEO going in the next few years.
It's going to be in the trash, actually, in a couple of years.
I'm out of a
Say
job.
that, Barry. Most people at the table will be out of a job.
No, I mean, again, it's becoming more marketing focused, not just about technical SEO anymore. It's more about overall marketing, the usability of the website. Is it mobile friendly? Is it easy to use? Is it fast? Are you building apps for your website? Are you building utilities and tools? So it's the overall marketing and usability and the overall web strategy it's all the same. So an SEO can't just do technical SEO. Obviously, you need core technical SEO these days, but you need more than that. Building another website that sells, life insurance, it's just, company bios and the different types of life insurance policies you have. It's not going to outrank the other 4,000 websites on the web that sell life insurance in your state.
Absolutely correct. Can you leave me with maybe 5 top goals every website should have to increase their optimization? Anything that comes to mind briefly before we let you go?
Sure. Participate in link schemes.
I like Barry.
It's really one tip. It's just, again, make your website so good, so much better than anything else out there that Google will be embarrassed if they don't rank it. I mean, the core tips is looking at specific technical tips. So one is, if every single of your title tags say, welcome or homepage or something, change your title tags so they're unique on every page. It really depends on the website itself. I can't just say generally this should be done or that should be done. Generally, you should build a website that people like to visit and like to use and like to come back to. But technically, you look at a website, each website has its own problems. Some of them have duplicate URL structures. Some of it has obviously canonical issues. Some of it has technical crawlability issues. Some of it has, there's tons of different issues for different websites. So it's hard to give a generic answer for that.
But honestly, you boil it down correctly. They need to be authentic, and they need to be useful for the consumer. And I mean, Google's always said, write your content as if we didn't even exist. And that's being authentic, and that's where all tactics should be focused. So I just want to thank you so much with your time today, Barry. How can everybody know how to find you? Where can they find you online?
I think they can search for him.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
There's
Actually,
this thing
if they search
called
for Barry Schwartz, they get the Barry Schwartz, the professor.
Yeah, I did that.
And
exactly.
he's about
see?
60 or so. I'm about half his age. So yeah, I mean, just probably the Twitter is at Rusty Brick, and Search Engine Land, Search Engine Roundtable, and rustybrick.com/Barry.
Very cool. And you certainly have columns on Search Engine Roundtable, Search Engine Land, and a number of others. Thank you so much for your time. We'd love to have you back another time if you have opportunity. Would you give us that down the road?
Yeah, sure. Reach out to me. I'll probably respond sure. So we could go ahead with that.
Fantastic. All right.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much. We'll let you go, and thanks for participating today.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Take care.